In this episode, it's time to get rid of the old leaky radiator in Project Low Fairmont and go find a new one, Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Welcome back to the channel, faithful subscribers. But hey, if this is your first time, my name's Grant Tommy and this is my channel Straight Six Fan, and today we are taking out the old radiator for Project Low Fairmont. And stick around to the end to see whether I go with the Craigslist find radiator or the Facebook Marketplace find radiator. And I'll get into a little more details as the episode goes on. But in this channel, Straight Six Fan, I like to focus on offbeat hot rodding, which I define as budget-minded, relatable, creative builds. So stick around, and we got some work to do. So we will start by removing the petcock. So today's Sunday. I am in search of picking up a used radiator either on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, but one of the two radiators is for a 94 Mustang, which is not a Fox body, but there were some similar things that were shared between the platforms. So in order to make sure that it works, I decided I would just go ahead and drain the radiator and remove it so I could take it with me, as I potentially am going to make one of those two deals. Now, the appeal to the 94 radiator is that it comes with an electronic cooling fan, which would help relieve some drag on the motor and help me pick up a little bit more, free up some horsepower. Not gain horsepower, but free up some drag, which would hopefully free up some horsepower. So after first draining the radiator, I went ahead and started pulling all of the overflow tubing, all of the shared lines between the transmission cooler, and then the upper and lower radiator hoses as well. Now that we have the radiator free, I'm going to pick up the far end opposite of the lower radiator hose to help, or the petcock rather, excuse me, to make sure we drain out any last fluid from this before we make a big mess. Before we can lift it out of place, I did make sure I drained the lower radiator hose first as well while I have the bucket down there. And studying it for a bit, it does not appear I can finagle this out of here without removing the fan shroud, so we will do that. But also, just taking some time to study in case the 94 radiator is a little bit wider or a different dimension. It does not look like I have much room to grow left to right. So that'll be another deciding factor in whether or not that one will work. So that's the guy I'm going to visit first, is the guy who has the 94 radiator, but then I have a backup for a guy who has an 88 radiator, which would mean I would keep my fan as is, but you guys just stick around for that journey. We're 7/16 inch kind of screws, or bolts, whatever you call it, but it looks like the bottom just sort of friction fit slides into some slots. So we remove that, push it back over the fan, and out should come the radiator. As you can see, some corrosion at the bottom of the radiator probably indicates elsewhere where we may have had a leak. This is a metal fixture, everything's metal. I believe brass is what they're typically made out of, but anyway, the important thing to look for when I go now to look at this 94 radiator is going to be, I'm not super worried about maybe the hoses being dead nuts on in the exact spot, but these whatever these lines were for, I think I called them heater lines. I don't think that's accurate. Because they're braided metal lines, I would much prefer that these two are dang near in the same place. But again, we're going to look for overall size and proportion, as well as the thickness as well. But jump in the truck with me and let's go take a look at these radiators that these guys are selling. Okay, so if you've made it this far, hopefully that helped you explain how to remove a Fox body radiator. I'm going to gotta go to the bank, gotta go to the parts store, pick up a pressure tester so I can pressure test these radiators before purchasing. And yeah, we'll be on the way, because I don't ever carry cash with me. I have to go pick up some cash. But we were just lucky enough today to be able to do that. Yesterday I sat through a football game in like 20-degree weather, so thermostat said 50 today, so we were just lucky to be able to do it. But time to go look at some radiators. Okay, so I passed on the aluminum radiator because I ended up calling the guy. I looked at the photos again after I took my radiator out. It didn't look like his had the transmission cooler lines fittings like mine, so I called him up, asked if he could confirm, but he wasn't by the radiator. So in Kansas City, the Kansas City Metro, you know, there's like 5 or 6, maybe 7 decent sized suburbs of the city on either side of the state line, and he happened to be kind of in one of the far out ones. So I elected to do to try to entertain the other guy. So we're gonna try to pressure test the radiator in the parking lot. I bought some Flex Seal tape, as well as 4 gallons of water to try to pressure test this radiator, just to make sure it doesn't have any leaks before I buy it. It'll be interesting. I don't know if he'll let me videotape it, but we'll see how the Flex Seal tape holds up. It could be like an infomercial. Okay, so we just got done purchasing the Fox body radiator, the normal steel or brass one, if you will. Like I said, opted to go against the 94 just because I wasn't sure if the tranny cooler lines were present. This was faster. This was the guy I talked about on my first live stream on Friday, so if you caught that, you kind of have some context to that. But anyway, it was unsuccessful in pressure testing it with the Flex Seal, so that didn't work. I might try it again when I get home, just from the standpoint of, like, I was using my key to cut the stuff, so I get a box knife, and I think I can make a little better seal. I might try it one more time. But the guy was explaining to me he bought it from a reputable local place a year ago, that the place specializes in Mustang parts. So in this modern day, it's hard to trust people, but I guess I'm gambling there. So it was $100. Saves me. The best I could find was I think $121 on for an aluminum one on Rock Auto. But then there's like $14, like $14.50 shipping, and something about that just seemed like the too good to be true. No one could really tell me much about that brand, and it was also before I kind of understood the difference between 1-row, 2-row, 3-row radiators. I have a 2-row, so the $121 price I think was for the 1-row specific. So I think as they went up in each row, I want to say that the price was maybe $15 more. So I'm thinking still that would have been at $150. So with the budget build in mind, we're going to roll with this. We're going to gamble a little bit, I figure. But that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, you can buy a straight 6-fan Pistons tee like I'm wearing right here if you want the t-shirt. Link in the description below. Reminder too, whatever is most comfortable to you, I encourage you to like, share, subscribe, comment below, or do all 4 if you really want, but certainly just one, whichever you're most comfortable with. But that'll do it for this episode. Until next time, peace out.